Okay, guys, so we are going into the overview of behavior modification now. So we are going to be looking at the assumptions of behavior modification. The assumptions. It's important we understand the major tenet of this behavioral school of thought, and so we understand how and why their techniques, their theories and therapeutic techniques took the shape they took, right? So we have done the history, and please, I'm saying we should please subscribe if you've not, like and share our videos, and please, if you have any question, you can drop it at the comment box. Now, the assumptions we need to know. There are two things here: stimulus and response. There is a response, respondent theory. That is classical condition. There is always a response to environmental stimulus. They believe that our behavior is as a reason of our responses to environmental stimulus. They believe that even abnormal behaviors is also abnormal response to environmental stimulus, right? Yeah. So I'm coming now. One thing I've always emphasized from other years is you understand that this school of thought believe that every behavior, both normal and abnormal, are learned behavior. So that is their first assumption, that normal and abnormal behavior are governed and sustained by the same learning principles. Both normal and abnormal behavior are learned and are governed and sustained by the same learning principles. So this is their first assumption, and they also believe that organisms are active learners. That's why in this behavior modification you discover that as a client you have to play a role in the process. Yes. So this is their major assumption. They believe that all behaviors are learned and are governed by the same learning principles. Very important. And we'll take that one after the other. And before I go to the next thing we'll do, in this video I want to talk about some of the principles of classical conditioning, operant conditioning, and social learning theory. These are the theories that form the principles and foundations of several other theories and therapeutic techniques in behavior modification, in this school of thought, right? Now, classical conditioning, as we have already known, we will be concerning ourselves with what is neutral stimulus, conditioned stimulus, unconditioned stimulus, which we already know. We know these ones, how classical conditioning took place. If you are not aware of that, please refer to some of our works in Sci 103, Learning, Psychology of Learning, in first year. Please, the video is up here. You will see it when you look for that. Now, the principles in classical conditioning includes acquisition, discrimination, generalization, spontaneous recovery, extinction. Yeah. What again? So these are, I will remember any if they still remain, right? So we have acquisition. This is the time a new behavior is learned. I want to take them first. So a new behavior is learned here. You have acquired it, acquisition. And we have generalization. At this point, generalization is when the organism, the learner organism, believes that learned behavior is applicable on all places. right? Just like in our Pavlov's dog, when the dog acquired a new behavior responding to a bell, right? Even the doorbell, he will respond and salivate thinking it's food. When he's by the wall and a bicycle is passing by the outside and rings the bell, he will run. This is a situation that a child thinks that every woman is his auntie. Go to greet your auntie, and every other woman becomes auntie, right? That is generalization. But there will be a point that the dog has understood that not all bells bring food, right? And that's how a child will know that not all women on wrapper, for example, or some certain kind of clothes are aunties or my auntie, and not all the animals that have four legs are goats. Some are dogs. Discrimination has taken place. The child has been able to discriminate. These principles are very important because they are very key to behavior modification, how to modify behaviors, right? So is very important actually. Generalization is a very maladaptive thought pattern. If you could remember, when at a moment you are looking at all girls are bad because you had a problem with one, I think that is generalization. That is very maladaptive, leading to psychological disorder, right? Now, discrimination, when you are able to discriminate a lady from another one, right, you wouldn't do transference, right? Now, we have extinction. Extinction occurs when there is a repeated exposure to the conditioned stimulus without any reinforcement. Yes. So when that reinforcement, exposure, the stimulus is introduced and the response is given, but repeatedly no reinforcement, no food, right? You will want to stop coming to the class when you have come up to 5 times and the lecturer didn't appear, right? Anyway, that's to your detriment, right? Now, that is extinction. So at that point, the acquired behavior is unlearned. It goes extinct. And over the time, when you ring the bell, in the case of the dog will not answer you. If they whine, I'm not interested, right? Okay, so he will just frown. He will not salivate. He will not even run. So 2, 3 months, 4 months, and all of a sudden, children went to that bell and rang it. The dog remembers and rushes. That is spontaneous recovery. This is a principle that is very key even in learning. You know, we're talking about learning. These guys are learning guys. That's why psychology has a great root in educational psychology, right? Or in education. They use a lot of these behavioral principles or psychological principles in teaching. Okay, so why I'm saying this is, you know, sometimes as a student you see yourself when they say start reading on time, and you see so that before exam you do revision, you notice that some will read and say, oh, I'm not understanding anything. Some will subscribe to, after all, I'm not understanding anything, I'll wait during the exam, I'll cram it. At that moment you are reading and coming and reading and you're not understanding anything, you think you are not understanding, right? Or most times you read and forget. Some say they will forget it, they've forgotten it. It's fine, but trust me, you understand that before exam or during exam that others are now working hard and giving so much energy to understand, for those that want to understand, and those that want to cram and wait for a day to the exam and everything. You will notice that you going back to that work, you will find it easy to navigate. You will not remember everything you read, and everything will sound even new, even if they sounded new, right? But assimilation will be easier. That is spontaneous recovery in action. Yeah, so these are some of the principles we'll be looking at that you'll be seeing having a role to play in behavior modification among all the theories we'll be talking about, all the therapeutic techniques or principles here. Now, in operant conditioning, we talk about reinforcements and punishment, We have positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. We have positive punishment and negative punishment. This has been a big topic, and I would want to discuss them here, but discussing them will be, the question is, do you need it for exam? You will need positive reinforcement, you need negative reinforcement and negative punishment, but your interest will be on all those therapeutic techniques that are embedded, that are using these principles. For example, token economy uses positive reinforcement. Premack principle by David Premack uses positive reinforcement. We're gonna be talking about them, right? So, but for emphasis, yeah, because I know this is the principle that is still having, people are having confusion with it, right? So I want to simplify some things about it. Now, when you hear the word positive here, what you should be looking at is addition. Whether in reinforcement or punishment, it's referring to addition. When you hear the word negative, we are talking about what? Subtraction, removal. Then reinforcement means to encourage a behavior, to encourage a desired behavior. Then punishment means discouraging a desired behavior, undesired behavior, right? Please take note. Whenever you see reinforcement, whether negative or positive, there is a behavior to be encouraged. And wherever you see punishment, whether positive or negative, there is a behavior to be discouraged. You will see them playing a role in many of the theories or the techniques we'll be talking about. So the positive reinforcement is when you add addition of something pleasant to encourage a behavior. So when you clap for a child, or when you give the child a token or a biscuit or a money or anything, right? Just to encourage the child to continue that behavior. Why? Because the child engaged in that behavior. That is one. Then negative reinforcement, at this point, you remove something. Sometimes this should be something unpleasant, or you remove something pleasant to encourage a behavior also. So at this particular time, you should always focus on the target behavior. If you do not focus on the target behavior, you may be explaining negative punishment. Now, in a situation of a child that play game and refuse to do assignments, right? If you come to remove that game to do what? To encourage the child do assignment, that is negative reinforcement, right? But if you tell the child, when you engage in this assignment, I'll give you this, come and take this money or biscuit, right? That is positive reinforcement. So, but you're not doing your assignment and you're playing game, right? Oh, you're not done with your assignment, so I'll take the game. When you're done with your assignment, you come pick it up. This is negative reinforcement. You have removed something pleasant from the child to do what? Encourage, right? You know, if you want to put it in the other way around, I am removing this, so I will discourage your laziness. I will not allow you to be lazy, or I will stop this nonchalant attitude towards the assignment. You see, you are focusing another target behavior, negative this time, not doing assignment. So you are removing this pleasant gain for the child to discourage his nonchalancy. Then you're looking at negative punishment. Please take note and always focus on the target behavior. Then you will not find yourself confused in this situation. Now, positive punishment, corporal punishment, addition of something harmful, addition of cane, addition of something negative, timeout, corporal punishment, which we don't preach in psychology. So you always see timeout. Oh, I told you to not to go out, and you did this. You know what? You are grounded. It is well. I'm gonna sleep. Anyway, it works. It works because that is the kind of punishment. It's most times it's even more painful than cane to some families or some environments, right? Now, that is addition of something to discourage a behavior. You see those principles taking place in the techniques, therapeutic techniques. Negative punishment, like I've said before, when there is a need to remove something in order to discourage a behavior, right? So you understand that is how it works. Let me not take time with that because we'll talk about those therapeutic techniques, treatment techniques, or behavior modification techniques. In social learning, we understand that in social learning, learning by observation and imitation. Once you observe, you have to imitate, right? So that is social learning, and we call it modeling. In modeling, there are 4 principles, there are 4 conditions that must be met before learning can take place: attention, retention, reproduction, and motivation. First, you must pay attention to observe, right? So even as a client, you're coming for therapy, there is a need for you to pay attention. There is a need for you to retain what you learned. There is a need to engage your brain, and so that you remember and learn it and be able to reproduce it. And you must be motivated for change. That's why, I forgot one of the assumptions also. The client must be willing to change. They must be willing, right? So you must be motivated. You must know this is the reason we are doing this. In clinical psychology, we call it you must have insight. Okay, so why are you here? I'm here because I'm having problem talking with my classmates or with my peers. I'm afraid of making mistakes and everything. So I want to know I have this problem. You know it and you came for treatment. You must understand it to that level before your treatment can be effective. So this is the principles you'll be looking out in also social learning theory. Now, you understand that there are therapeutic techniques in behavior modification that may include not only the principles of classical condition, but you see operant in action. You see the person observing also. You see the person trying to retain something and then to replicate it. And one of the principles again is self-efficacy, individual's knowledge of their ability. Come on, if you have given up that you are a failure, if you are having problem with your exams and the anxiety always come up, if you come to a therapist, we must weigh your self-efficacy. Okay, do you believe you can get better? Right? Now you imagine a substance user that is having those withdrawal symptoms, right? Self-efficacy is important as a principle. I can do this. I can do this, because the best treatment for substance use is often withdrawal, not agonist substitutions. We'll talk about those things later, right? Now, these are the principles I'm trying to give the overview, and from here we'll go deep for the purpose of this course, some of those techniques. And please remember to like and share and subscribe. If not, you are our first client that we're going to use for this therapy. Thank you for viewing.